So I'm going to introduce Sandra, although I'm sure she doesn't really need an introduction with most of the people on this call. Um, so Sandra is our chief examiner at Catalyst and oversees all our accreditation, including the accreditation with the EMCC Global. Um, Sandra, what would you like to say to the group about yourself?
Well, first of all, that badge is always a little bit scary for me, Damien. But what I like to say to the group, as well as taking you through the mechanics of re-accreditation, it's my usual alliteration that it's about celebration and it's about challenge today. So, as Damien has said, pop in questions as they occur to you, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I can answer them. But just wonderful to be here.
Thanks, Sandra. Thank you. So I'm just going to just do a little bit more setup before we get into the conversation, because there's a couple of bits of, I suppose, conditions I really need to sort of say at the start. So, I mean, obviously, we're not the EMCC Global, but we wanted to have this conversation as a way of supporting you, because I know a number of people are now going through a re-accreditation process with the EMCC Global. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. Second thing is this is correct as of December now, 2024. If things change, and the EMCC changed their process, of course, we will do an updated version for you as well. And the third thing I wanted to say before we get into the conversation is if you have completed your diploma course with us and you accredited at foundation level EIA and then are intending to upgrade that, it's a slightly different approach. So you have, just to say, you have 2 years from the date of your accreditation to upgrade to the practitioner level. So you would come direct to us and we would upgrade you. There's a process that we use for that. After 2 years, you'll need to contact the EMCC Global Direct. So this is different. So we're talking here about the fact you have your EIA status, you have that for your 5-year cycle, and then you will be going through a renewal process with the EMCC Global Direct, actually. We're just going to talk about the process today. Sandra, anything else you want to say just before we start to talk about the process itself and what's involved?
Yes, just it was as you said, Damien, that people would be applying to for their reaccreditation to EMCC Direct, and knowing what the EMCC can be like. I'm slowing my speech down, so I'm careful with my language. Um, is my encouragement for you is to see this more as more than, if you like, a tick box exercise. There is a template to complete, and knowing my language as I use, it in filling that in, do your stuff, do your thing, really express your authenticity as a coach. So, and I'll talk about that more as we go on. So viewing it more than just filling in the template.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think there's an importance to that. So, you know, when we were trained as EIA assessors, we were asked by the EMCC to always look at the evidence to see where the person is on their trajectory as well. So yes, you may be accrediting or re-accrediting a practitioner or senior practitioner, but a person reviewing that will be thinking about where you are in relationship to the next level as well. So as Sandra's saying, doing a full job in terms of showing who you are is also helpful from the EMCC's perspective as well. Um, and I just wanted to say, of course, you will need to maintain your membership, you know, so you will need to be subscribing and keeping your subscription with the EMCC up to date. Uh, I've just seen a question there from Neil about do the EMCC prompt us? And I would say I wouldn't leave it to chance. So I would be on the front foot and keep a record of when your accreditation is due. and I would contact the EMCC rather than waiting for them to contact me. I don't know if you would agree
Yes,
with that, Sandra.
yes, lessons we both learnt, I think, Damien. Yes,
Yeah,
keep our
definitely.
own tabs on ourselves.
Yeah, because if you're busy, you know, yeah, before you know it, a month has passed. So, or in my case, a couple of months. So I would say
Oh,
definitely keep on the front
or in
foot.
my case, longer. But
So, Sandra, let's just start with the process then in terms of what's involved.
all right. So as you say, people are making the assumption that people are already continued members, because then actually you get a discount on your reaccreditation fee or your accreditation fee. So essentially, it's basically on the website, pay your money, and then you get access to the template. And forgive me, folks, I'm going to use myself, my re-accreditation as senior practitioner as the basis, but it's very similar for those of you reaccrediting at practitioner level. So, and it's very similar to what you would have submitted for those of you who trained with us, in terms of that template itself, at least the front piece. So it's personal details, your membership, CV. Now, range of clients. So this is where hopefully, and we're all different in terms of the way we do it, keeping a log of our clients is quite key, and our hours is quite key, because you need to again consolidate. So my first C, you know me in alliteration, is about the range of clients that you've been seeing. Seniority is what they're looking for. I've also added, other demographics like gender. I'm using that word generically, ethnicity, and other background aspects. And I've also added in the range of sectors, because particularly at senior practitioner level, I'm making the assumption that you're tying this up against the EMCC competencies and the breakdown of those competencies, that within each of these categories, you're demonstrating how you meet them. All right, so range of clients, as I say, their particulars, if you like, and the range of sectors. So you're showing that you're already operating in this mix of situations, mix of sectors. Then there is a section, I think it's called the approach in your practice, but it also includes CPD. So I'm moving on now to, from your reflective practice after working with your clients, in that consolidation of that, two further C's are coming now. Celebration. So you're consolidating what your approach has been. You're celebrating what's working for you, because at senior practitioner, for those of you who trained with us, you will recall that there's that piece where you're already starting to think about, what is my brand, what is my approach, what is my coaching model. So what's been working well for you, as you reflect that within this paragraph. But also, last C now for the time being, challenge yourself as you are reporting, because this is another aspect of reflective practice. It's an opportunity for you to reflect on that as you complete this section. So, how has your approach evolved since 5 years ago? What's shifted? In what ways? It might be about some of your assumptions. It might be holding on to those core values and beliefs that you had, really reflecting on how those have worked for you, or otherwise how you're managing them within your practice. How are you managing your biases? We're all human beings, so we all have them. So, making this an opportunity for you to pull together what your current approach is. Oh, before I finish that section, at the top end, it's quite a generalized template. So you would need to stipulate, let's say, for example, that you are an executive coach. So you need to, delete those other roles that aren't applicable. For myself, I kept in executive coach and team coach, for example.
So Sandra, just saying, if you're at practitioner level or foundation level, in that reflection about your CPD, you're also going to be sort of really, I suppose, clarifying again what underpins your practice in terms of the modality, the models, the approaches.
I would suggest again that there is, if you like, a segue. There's a link. There's a blend between this section, which is talking about your approach and practice. So again, thank you, Damien. That's as applicable when you're at foundation. That's as applicable at practitioner. And then when there's separate section for your CPD. Now they're talking about the last 12 months. And for some of us, that's fine. Yes, that's great. Now, if you've done more than that in the last 12 months, personally, and you've got it readily documented, you can put that in as well. All right. But then it shows and it reflects how your practice has been informed by your CPD, your ongoing CPD. For each of those activities, without going too far into it, again, for those of you who are credited with us, there is a second column to the right hand side, and I would just have a key of the EMCC competencies, and for those activities that you've undertaken, which of those EMCC competencies did it inform? So again, the assessor, the verifier, can see the link between. Lastly, before leaving the CPD section, in my case, I was already thinking of what I was going to be doing in terms of CPD. So if that's the case, put that in as well. So future CPD or continuous development in a particular area. And what that signifies is that, again, it's helping you to consolidate what you're doing as a coach. So it's a record for you, but it's also conveying to the EMCC that it's not just a tick box exercise. You're actually putting active thought into what it is, where your CPD interests lie.
And I'm just going to come in. So I've seen a couple of questions on the chat. We will come to those questions in a short while, so we will answer those. But also, just to pick up on this bit about CPD, just making sure that you're demonstrating the required hours the last 12 months. So you're talking here probably around about 16 hours of CPD. So that could be workshops, reading, podcasts, a whole host of options there for you. Really making sure that you're demonstrating that. But as Sandra said, most importantly, linking that to the EMCC competence framework. So Sandra, so just coming on, I will pick up on some questions in a short while. So what would you say comes next?
Then you need to show that you've been undertaking your supervision. And how has supervision aided, facilitated your reflective practice? So you need to, so the minimum is once a quarter or once every 35 hours. So you need to demonstrate that with, when I was doing it, I had to put in my dates.
Yeah, I think it's come down now to every 32 hours from memory, but
That's it?
yeah,
Okay.
I believe so. And as we're talking about supervision now, I can see that Helena has asked a question about, she's an ICF accredited at the moment. She's looking to apply to senior practitioner and is really asking about supervision. So Sandra, in terms of, because it's slightly different with the ICF around mentor in EMCC, it's really important that you have supervision with an accredited supervisor. So what would you say about that accredited supervisor, Sandra?
For me, professional integrity badge. What I learned recently from the EMCC, that your supervisor no longer needs to be accredited with the EMCC. So, good news there. That said, Damien, I would still want to seek to be working with somebody who is an accredited coach supervisor. Yeah.
Yeah, so Polina, sorry, I can see your clarification there. Yeah, so as long as they're a accredited supervisor, that will be acceptable for the EMCC.
Exactly. Yes.
So the supervision, do you need the reference from the supervisor, Sandra?
Well, that's a great question, and I can't remember off the top of my head. Apologies, everybody. But assuming you do, that's a just contact your supervisor and
Yeah.
paste it in.
And from memory, I have been writing references for people that are reaccrediting. So it's just a short paragraph the supervisor will write about their relationship with you. They will confirm things like how often you've been accessing supervision, whether it's one-to-one group, and how they've experienced you as a professional coach within those conversations.
Right. Well, on that note, Damien, should it be needed, what is there stopping us helping our supervisor to recall what's been discussed? In other words, we keep our own supervision notes, don't we, when we're having our sessions. We know the dates. So, should your supervisor need some assistance in that area, a quick email to them with a reminder of the dates and the type of coverage issues that you brought for them to verify.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So what we're hearing really is there's a template that we're completing. These are
Exactly.
paragraphs. These aren't big pieces of work that we're including. We're including the evidence from the standard templates that you're hopefully using as a professional coach. Your coaching hours summary sheet, your supervision hours summary sheet, your continuing professional development hours summary sheet. And in terms of I just wanted to check, Sandra, is there a requirement for testimonials? Because that's a question that usually gets asked for
It's a
reaccreditation.
question that normally gets asked, and would you believe it? I cannot remember, but I don't recall so. If you're reaccrediting within the time period.
Yeah.
But again, Damien, at the end of our respective working with respective clients, we typically ask for a testimonial or something short that's written. So you have it there. If there are testimonials, just as for your CPD, it would be for the last 12 months, the prior 12 months to your date of submission for reaccreditation. So they're looking at quite current practice.
Yeah, and as you're saying, I mean, it's good practice to ask for a testimonial at the end of a program anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can see some comments there about getting the right form, etc. But what I would say is, the process has been improved with the EMCC now. So as Sandra's saying, you pay your fee and then the template becomes available. I did just want to pick up on a question that or a reflection from Mandy, because I can sort of see there that most of her referrals come through an associate relationship. So she doesn't necessarily collect the information around ethnicity, and was just questioning about the need to record that.
You don't need, it's not asked for, Mandy. It's not asked for. But for me, if I'm thinking about the EMC Code of Ethics, Inclusion and Diversity, then in talking about or in sharing, consolidating who have my clients been, I'm wishing, as far as I am able to show what that spread has been. So ethnicity doesn't need to be an aspect of it. I find that's, in a sense, as a coach, I find that interesting that, that might not be asked for, but then gender might not be asked for, or sector might not be asked for. But in submitting your paragraph, you'd be sharing, well, my range of clients are this, either by status, level, seniority, age, and the sectors.
Yeah, so I hope that helps, Mandy. think what Sandra's really getting at is in that sort of paragraph is really painting a picture of the type of work you do, the clients that you support. And obviously you're demonstrating those clients meet the level of accreditation that you're going for, which is all covered in the sort of original handout from the EMCC, which you can download from the website, which gives you more info, not just about the competency framework, but also demonstrating your credibility to be accredited at that level.
I'm putting my hand up because I don't know how to find the hand, the electronic hand. So, for example, some of us do pro bono work as well as our paid work. So, if that's the case, when you're talking about your range of clients, add that in.
Yeah, and I could just see Penny's reflection there, Sandra, just saying that the EMCC also run preparation session. Oh, sorry, I need my glasses today. Will the EMCC offer preparation sessions, and how long in advance do we get the template? I mean, I think being brutally honest, I think our encouragement would be to be proactive. I think sometimes the administration is not as seamless as it should be from the EMCC. In terms of whether the EMCC run preparation sessions, I haven't seen any yet. I know they do a lot of support for the initial accreditation, but Sandra,
Yeah.
you might have a different experience. I haven't seen anything around the reaccreditation. That's why we're running this session today.
Exactly, Damien. Yes, for if you're accrediting, they run, I think it's a five evenings, spring challenge they call it. But for reaccreditation, I'm not aware that they do. And with all due respect to EMCC, you know, you've done it, all of you. You're accredited at your levels. It really is about just saying how things have evolved in that 5-year period. And the way I look at it, using it as an opportunity, yes, they want to see a consolidation. But for you to, in submitting that, you know, taking yourself back through that critical review that you did for your first submission, and what are you celebrating? Where are you growing? What has shifted? Where have your challenges been? How have you managed those? So it all contributes to your practice and how you be, not just what you do, how you be as coach. And you'll be fine.
And I've just seen a question from Sarah. Do you need a set number of certificated sessions or hours accredited by the awarding body? So that's about CPD.
Not that I'm going back to my own again, and not that I'm aware of. The way that I documented mine was if I had attended a program, then I would say what that establishment was. Yes, and that it was a certificated program.
Yeah,
If
you don't need to
you
have
don't need to
accredited
scan those,
hours.
yeah,
I was just going to say you can include them as an appendice
yes,
if you want
exactly.
to, but they don't need to be accredited hours because obviously there's such a rich tapestry of CPD that we can access as coaches, and the EMCC are very pragmatic in terms of what you're accessing. The key thing though is linking it to the relevant 8 EMCC competence areas for the level that you're accrediting.
Exactly.
Sandra, is there a minimum number of words they want to see for each section of the template? I remember the accreditation portfolio ended up to be a big fat document. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It literally is, apart from the personal details at the front end, there are those 3 main sections: your approach, your practice, CPD, supervision. So if you also want that to be another big fat document, that's entirely your choice. What I say is, what I'd encourage you is just to consolidate it so that people can see, the verifier can see how you started out, where you are now, and where you're seeking to go on to in terms of your practice, not in terms of accreditation. Yes, it's your reflecting. It's the what, so what, and now what mantra.
Yeah, no, and I'll go back. My experiences, the EMCC are very much focused on you know, where are you in terms of, you know, their framework, and if you're sort of starting to demonstrate, actually you might be at a different level, they will pick up and have a conversation with you around that. So Neil's asking, is anyone available who can help us fill this in as a professional service? I mean, all I would say, Neil, is, you know, have that conversation with your supervisor. You know, if anybody needs support, I'm sure Sandra would make herself available as well. That's just Sandra at catalyst14.co.uk. Answer, could you please share the link where to find the template or the EMCC website, please? So I can, I'd love to multitask and do that now, but what I can do is make sure that's sent out to everybody once we finish.
Okay.
Just going to check any other questions from anybody. So how many hours of CPD are needed? I mean, it'd be dependent on your level of accreditation. I think from memory, I think senior practitioner 16 hours, isn't it?
It's still the 16 hours. So again, I'm you know, seeing you're showing CPD over the prior 12 months, you know, I'm confident that you'll all have met that, probably exceeded it. Yeah.
Yeah, and similar level for practitioner.
Exactly.
Well, so that's all on the website. So again, we'll send the link round to everybody once we finish today. So we've literally got 2 minutes left, Sandra. So anything else that feels important to say to the group at this point?
Well, the way that I started out, really, to bring it that round gestalt to closure is, you know, be authentic. Use it as an opportunity for you to reflect and consolidate what's been going on for you as a coach, what's been going on for you, and how you've how that's impacted and how you've managed that, how that's helped you to grow as a coach, as well as responding to the various sections. So I think I said at the start, do your stuff, do your thing, be authentic, and you'll blow their socks off.
Thanks, Sandra. And hopefully, you know, it's sort of I suppose decreased any anxiety you're feeling. We're talking about a template. It's not a report. It's not a big piece of work. It's going to be a case of you sitting down and collating the evidence. And it is very streamlined now. So hopefully when you go through the process, you'll see it's a lot more streamlined than you may be thinking as well.